Hi, this is James from Tabletop Gaming Guild, and today we're going to have a special day where we're going to take a look at One Stone Studios' prototype game, which is going to be Seeker Chronicles. This is a two-player game where you're going to be trying to out-research your opponent. Let's go down to the table. I'm going to show you how to play this prototype, so keep in mind that anything in here is subject to change, but you'll get the general idea how the game flows and plays from the how to play. So let's go ahead down to the table here, and I'll show you that. All right, so today we're going to take a look at Seeker Chronicles. Now, keep in mind this is a beta of this game, so some of the stuff can be subject to change. In the base set that I got, you got 6 different Seekers that you can pick from, and that's going to be the minimal that you need to have a 2-player game. Each player is going to draft 3 Seekers, and those 3 Seekers are going to have decks associated with them, which I'll show you in a second here, that'll make up your 30-card deck. In this game, you're going to be playing as scientists, and you're going to be performing research in order to take cards from your library into your archive. If you're able to cycle through your library 3 times, you're going to be able to win the game. Okay, so now we're going to go over the Seeker decks themselves. These are what you're going to draft to create your 30-card deck. Now, in the anatomy of a Seeker deck is going to be a Seeker module, which you're going to be able to tell by this little icon up here. The Seeker themselves, which they're going to have a domain, and this one's a order type Seeker. This was James Clerk Maxwell, and it's a light bringer. And on the back of the Seeker card here, you're going to have what type of asymmetric deck this one has. So with the Lightbringer as defense, Chaos and Order are yours to command. So this is slow and defensive. So this deck style is slow and defensive. Many hyperlinks, versatile effects, costly modules, chaotic effects. Okay, so we're going to get over what hyperlinks and links are in a second. But you're going to have your Seeker. You're going to have your Seeker's module. Those are going to separate out of the 3 that you pick. So you'll have 3 Seekers and 3 Seeker modules separated. And the Seeker model's paired with the Seeker, and you'll notice this icon up here shows you the cards that belong to that Seeker. And you'll have 10 of these cards. All right, so now that you know the basics of these decks, which will show you what the cards do in a second, you could look at and get an idea of how each of these play when you're drafting. So let's say I picked James Maxwell Clerk. The opponent picked this one. I picked Stephen Hawking, and the opponent picked this one. I picked Isaac Newton, and they got Richard. So now we can make our decks. So again, you're going to be taking out the Seeker, and then you're going to take out the Seeker module. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll set it up. We're going to shuffle up the decks from each of the Seekers that we picked, keeping the Seeker and the Seeker module separate, and I'll show you that setup. All right, so now we're set up to play. So setup's pretty simple. I shuffled up the 30 cards from each of the Seekers that I picked, so the 3 different Seekers. I picked a Seeker, and I placed it out in the play area, and then I put its module behind there. So the opponent will do the same thing. They'll shuffle up their deck. They'll pick 2 of their Seekers to put on the sideboard. They'll pick 1 Seeker out, and then they'll put the Seeker module out. And gameplay is going to go turn after turn until someone goes through their deck 3 times. Now I'm going to move these Seekers over here so you can see that deck, how you move from your library to your archive in a second here, but you're going to have 4 phases for your turn. You're going to have the start phase, the main phase, the research phase, and the end phase. All right, so let's go over these phases here. We're going to go ahead and start with the starting phase here. In this phase, pretty simple. You're just going to ready your modules and draw 1 card. To ready your modules, if you used a module, they'll be turned to their side. If you ready them here, when you ready all of them, you're just going to turn them the right direction again here. And then you'll also draw a card. That completely ends the starting phase. Now you get into the main phase. In the main phase, you're going to look at your hand here. And of your 3 cards, you can play 1 of them. So theoretically, if I'm going to start linking cards, I'm going to take a look at their effects. Now, there's 2 different ways you can link cards. So if I'm playing a card down, I'm going to end up using the normal linked ability, but some of them allow you to hyperlink, which is this number right down on the bottom here. So this card effect is linked. Destroy 2 other modules that are opposing each other archive 3 cards. So I may want to hold on to this one till later in the game. This one here doesn't cost anything to link after I've played it, but I could pay 1 to hyperlink it. So your next link costs 3 less at the end of this turn. Until the end of this turn, sorry. So that's a super powerful card. And the last one I have right here is going to only be able to be linked normally. And that says move a random Cosmos module from your archive into your memory. So I don't really have the ability to do any of these too well right now. But I'm going to go ahead and place this one down. So that's going to be play 1 card. Now I can link or hyperlink as much as I want. And with this, like I said, this would be free to hyperlink if I want. And that would add 0 to Stephen Hawking's power. Or I could pay 3 for this one. Well, with this one here, your next link costs 3 less. So I could link this one, and then I could link this one. And now Stephen Hawking's is at 6 power. Now just winding this back a little bit, and that's probably what I want to do, because even though this says triple the power of this module until end of turn. So this would actually be a 18, which is super powerful. So this is a really good combo for that. Now, if I would have played this card instead, and I wanted to link it, I would just turn this card to show that I used it as a resource, and that pays for the 1, and I can link it, and Stephen Hawking would become a 2. But instead, I want to do this super powerful combo where now I have an 18 power Stephen Hawking here, and you could go in and do the next phase here. You could perform research. So that way I'm going to challenge my opponent. So my opponent right now has 0, and this character right now has 18. If my opponent didn't do anything at all, which they're allowed to react now by linking or hyperlinking any number of cards they want. So they can look at their hand here and say, well, can I hyperlink anything? No, I don't have anything down to link, so I'm going to have to pretty much let you win this, and you'll be able to archive 18 cards. So you'll go ahead and 6. So I'll archive 18 cards. And that is a really great opening hand because you've just busted through your first half of your deck just about, which is awesome. So if you look down here, this one is high-powered modules, disruptive effects, costly modules, no draw effects. So where I got this super off to the races start here because I was able to set up a really cool combo off the bat, I'm going to probably peter out later in the game. So where I got this 18 cards here, I have to really like keep moving and trying to shuffle through that deck as quickly as possible. That is a really good early game combo there. And the last phase is the easiest phase. That is the resource expires and effects end. So if you had end of turn effects, which I had, that cost 3 less end of turn effect, that would end. Also, any resources that I used would expire, so they would no longer be available, and it would go to the opponent's turn. They would take their turn and would continue on until someone goes through their library 3 times and they win the game. Now, a couple notes in the game, just so that you understand the main difference between linking and hyperlinking is linking you do with your cards that are down on the table here, and you assign them to seekers, where hyperlinking, you spend your resources and they come straight for your hand onto the seeker. In addition, once a seeker hits 7 power, you're going to be able to bring out another seeker. You will place the seeker out and the new seeker module goes into your hand. Once this seeker gets to 7 power, you'll be able to bring out your third. So these seekers will go against the opposing seekers, not add them together against a single seeker. So if there's no seeker over here, they go pretty much unopposed. That other opponent wants to go fast and keep the same number of seekers in the same columns as you. In addition to that, you could also unlink some of these. If you unlink them, they go back to your memory area. This is the area below your seekers here that I was talking about. But they go here exhausted, and you can use them in future turns. So you can unlink modules. One other important thing is play versus move. Into your memory, you may play one module per turn. However, some abilities let you move modules into your memory. This effect doesn't count towards your one play limit. So you also have power versus base power. Only the base power of linked modules help you research in the threshold of 7. So I have a base power of 6 here, so I wouldn't have been able to get out James Clerk Maxwell, even though the effect on here tripled the value of my my power. So now I have 18 power, but I still don't get to put out James Maxwell because that's not my base power. And that, in a nutshell, is going to be how you play Seeker Chronicles. Now, there's a lot more. Like, you get other sets in here. You're going to have a lot more different Seekers to pick from with their asymmetric decks. The mix and match that you do in the game really goes to how the game flows. So if you draft different Seekers each game, you can have so much replayability just in this base set. It's insane. And there's also a lot to be said for learning one of the Seekers completely, how they work. So like I said, that in a nutshell is going to be how you play Seeker Chronicles. Keep in mind this was just a quick how to play because this is a beta of the game, so some of this will be subject to change. Once they come out with the final version of Seeker Chronicles, we'll probably do another how to play here, but let's go ahead back up to the table here and I'll give you my final thoughts. All right, so that was Seeker Chronicles. Seeker Chronicles, I can't really talk about the component quality because it's a prototype game, but the component quality of the prototype is really good. So if it's anything like the final product, that's going to be awesome. Now, the gameplay itself, although the how to play is really simple and easy to teach, there is really a lot in the powers of the cards that you're linking. They add a huge element of strategy to the game. So it's not simply just like, hey, I have more research points or power than you do. It's more in, hey, the things that I link give me these different synergies and these different abilities that I can win over you, or I could trick you when you do your attack against me. Really like that aspect of the game. It really adds a lot of strategy. All the decks are asymmetric, so every time you mix and match it, there's a ton of replayability in that. And there's a lot to be said for learning that deck for that researcher. Really cool. So if you liked what was in the how to play and you like two-player head-to-head games where there's a good bit of strategy in the game, I would highly recommend keeping a watch out and checking out when you can Seeker Chronicles. And that's my thoughts on it. Thank you for watching.